A Holy Knight Digimon born from a fusion, due to the powerful wills of everyone who wished for good. In the digital world, two specific Digimon take no more precedence than Agumon and Gabumon, but little did they know how much of an impact they were going to have, and more importantly, what was going to befall their fates. As Yggdrasil, the overseer of the server, had noticed that its creations, the Digimon that it had made, had begun to spread out, looking to see if any would be usable and or important enough to ally with it. It decided to seek out Digimon with promise. And little did it know, two Digimon that had been completely ignored were going to become Digimon of a much, much greater focus. As two rookie Digimon would be frolicking around in the grasslands, this being Gabumon and Agumon, these two specific Digimon simply were friends, and as rookie Digimon would be, simply wanted to at least survive and have a good time. As time progressed, they eventually found themselves becoming champions in the form of Garurumon and Greymon. As both Digimon now took on almost a rival but also friendship based, both were eventually going to seek out their own paths, as now being champions, they're strong enough to at least face the basic threats of the digital world. However, chaos and rage would ensue the battle, as to their unknown knowledge, though Digimon Deltamon, who had recently appeared, had decided to do a rampage, going from area to area and causing harm. It is unknown why Deltamon did what it did in its rampage. However, it is believed that with the combined souls that make up Deltamon, these Digimon that had originally sought out power and strength and were very malicious had consumed Deltamon, meaning that all it could do was act out those beliefs. And in the case of these two Digimon, and Garurumon and Greymon, this would be their first test, and unknowingly, this would draw the eye of Yggdrasil onto both of them. As the fateful day came, both Garurumon and Greymon together found Deltamon in the desert area, as Deltamon's rampage had destroyed a lot of the different forests and grasslands, and before it could reach their homeland, both of them engaged in battle against Deltamon. Although Deltamon was strong, it was not prepared for a battle against two champion Digimon that had worked so well in dynamic focus, as both Garurumon and Greymon seemingly were able to trick and overpower the very strong Digimon, as although Deltamon's rampage was devastating, it still was only a champion, and luckily for both of our heroes, they were able to deal with Deltamon. As Deltamon eventually retreated, both Greymon and Garurumon were happy, as both of them knew that this was the best way to begin their separate journeys, as now both powerful could decide to head out wherever they need to go. In the case of Garurumon, it headed into the mountains, believing that there was a power that it could search out for deeper and deeper into those places, as a feral energy seemed to be radiating to it. In the case of Greymon, it would head to the recently developed metal area, as recently this area had sprung out almost out of nowhere, basically focusing on factories and developments, and the recently focused on and very numerous machine-type Digimon were prevalent in this area. Believing that there was something it could find, Greymon sought out this place. However, little did both of the heroes would expect, Deltamon was not done with them, and Deltamon, for its anger, would receive some more focus. As to the shock of everyone, Yggdrasil had oversaw Deltamon, as Deltamon for some reason appeared out of an anomaly, and with Yggdrasil's knowledge, anomalies are not always welcomed. However, since it still was a Digimon, Yggdrasil decided to let it live. But little did they know, Deltamon was about to undergo another transformation. As to the knowledge of others, this is a period of time where Yggdrasil had not yet created the dark area, as believing that the digital world only needed one area to exist, Digimon of all kinds and their data, once they are obviously destroyed, stay in the digital world. Although they do get reborn, the data is left behind, allowing other Digimon to utilize it in the same sense that Gabumon does with Garurumon's coat. In the case of Deltamon, all of its stored up data that it had not yet been converted into power, as many Digimon are led by this misconception that data equals strength, which it does not. However, undergoing such a strenuous battle and a rage-filled experience after its loss, Deltamon was able to push itself further, as more and more data was finally comprised into its evolution, in the birth of another threat, Chimeramon. Now, Chimeramon, although evolving from Deltamon, started to lose more of its sense of self, as one of the characteristics that starts to happen with something like this is that the consumption of data can make some Digimon lose control. And in the case of Chimeramon, this was the situation. As now it started to become more berserk and feral, it would once again go on a rampage. And eventually it found itself being attacked by other Digimon again. As eventually forces of Digimon united. In the case of those dwelling in the jungle area, and even those of the coastline, allied together to stop Chimeramon. However, as Togemon was eventually picked up by Chimeramon, and the other Digimon fighting alongside it were realizing that this was maybe in vain, all seemed to be lost. But then, as if it seemed like it couldn't have been at the last moment, two ultimate level Digimon arrived to the battlefield, being Metal Greymon and Garurumon, both being the same Digimon that had once stopped Deltamon. They had returned in order to continue the battle again. As Metal Greymon descended to the battlefield and Garurumon came down as well, Chimeramon knew that it was in trouble. As the fight would progress for a while, Chimeramon would realize that this was not something it could win, at least now, as all the other Digimon had also tagged together to fight Chimeramon. Seeing no other option, and after taking a punch from Garurumon, Chimeramon fled. And this time, it fled knowing that it wasn't strong enough, but came with a singular goal, that it would become so strong that it would destroy everything. After Chimeramon fled and the other Digimon were happy, a celebration was held, as well Greymon and Garurumon were heralded as heroes, as many of the other Digimon decided that they would follow them, in the hopes that by working together there would be a chance of survival. As Tentomon and Biomon flew around, Ikakumon and Togemon stood around and posed as best that they could. Although the celebration was bright, a threat was going to appear and come very quick. As unbeknownst to Metal Greymon, after it left the metal area was reorganized as a Digimon would take control, forming and leading to the birth of the Metal Empire. And its leader, Machinedramon, was ready to begin conquest. This is Brad from the Ad Army, signing off, and for all of you out there to sign on.